When we talk about SPC study, generally what we think that we need to make a beautiful graph of mean and range. We need to see CP and CPK. If it is fine, then it is done. But what about the mean chart? What about the range chart? Do we understand the graph? Do we interpret what exactly are the values which are going inside that? Unless and until we do that, unless and until we analyze that what is happening with respect to the graph, we cannot take the real action. So by that time this video will end, you will understand what are the 8 different type of special causes which can be there in the process, how to analyze that, what action we can take, and how we can make sure that whatever statistical study we are doing, it is giving us the right result and is benefiting to the organization. When we look into the stock market, generally what is the trend? We see that there are very few people who are getting benefited, but majority of them are always in loss. Maybe sometimes they get some benefit, but majority of the time they are in loss. But there are few people who are always in profit. And why does it happen? Because they analyze the graph of each and every share very closely. And based on the movement of that share, they decide whether to buy that share or to sell that share. And majority of the cases, they are successful because they can read that graph very well. Something is similar with respect to the SPC study. Unless and until we are focusing on the graph, we are analyzing why it is happening, what is the purpose, and what can result into it, we can now get the desired benefit about it. In 1920, Dr. Shewhart first initiated this control plan. And the main objective of this control plan is to prevent the variations, because till that time the focus is only on the detection. When we talk about prevention, it's also important to understand that what kind of results it can bring. So there are 6 different kind of variations which can happen in any process. They are man, machine, material, method, measurement, and Mother Earth. Because of all these variations, something can happen. It can be good or it can be bad. And whenever any variation is happening, we need to understand that there can be 2 reasons for that. One is a special cause and there is a common cause. When we talk about common cause, it means something which is happening in routine because there are no 2 things alike. Say for example, it is as simple as that I am walking from here to there and coming back 10 times. In all the cases, one thing is sure that my steps will not be same exactly, but they'll be very close to each other. So whatever variation is there, it is just like a common cause. On the other hand, when I'm walking again, but maybe I got a call, my mind distracts, or maybe somebody stinks there can be a variation in my way of movement. So that is a special cause what is happening. So these are the 2 key things. And the overall objective of doing the SPC study for doing the common cause, special cause, 6M is only 3, that is QCD, quality, cost, and delivery. That how we can improve the quality, how we can reduce the cost, and how we can improve the productivity for the organization. Only for that we are doing it. So when we read the graph, especially with respect to the special characteristics, there are 8 different variations which can be there. So let's go through that quickly one by one. The first one is talking about when there is one point which is beyond the control limits, upper control limit and the lower control limit. Then the second situation is when there are 7 consecutive points on the same side of the center line. It can be upper side or it can be the lower side. The third is there are 6 different points in a row which are all increasing or all decreasing on one side. The fourth situation is wherein there are 14 points which are alternating up and down, zigzag. That also is an indication that something is wrong somewhere. Then situation 5 is talking about when 2 out of 3 points have more than 2 standard deviation from the center line on the same side. If that is happening, that's also an indicator. Then the next situation 6 is talking about 4 out of the 5 points. It's more than 1 standard deviation from the center line on the same side. Then situation number 7 is talking about 15 points in a row are with 1 standard deviation of the center line. It can be on the other side. And the last is talking about 8 consecutive points which are greater than 1 standard deviation from the center line. Now it's important to understand that whenever any of this variation is happening, it can result in good or it can result in bad. So the user should have that intelligence to understand that what is good which is happening because of the special cause. In case something good is happening, then that person has to make sure that how to make it permanent. But In case it is resulting in the variation and it can result in any rejections, then in that case, it needs to analyze that why it is happening. And again, when we are doing the analysis with respect to the variation, it has to be done with the 6M, man, machine, material, method, measurement, and the mother earth. With respect to man, the variation can be with respect to the plotting, that whether the control limits are not plotted correctly or there is miscalculation. Maybe the sampling method is stratified, maybe the data is edited, or it could be that there is a new inspector. With respect to the machine, it could be that there is a malfunction in the machine, or maybe the fixture on which that component is fixed and when we are checking it or doing something, there is some error with respect to that. When we talk about material, it can be a new raw material lot wherein lot to lot variation is there, or maybe the tool which we are using, it can be worn out, that can be resulting in it. When we talk about the method, maybe earlier we were using micrometer, now we are using vernier caliper. Maybe earlier we were doing in the shop floor, but now we have started doing the measurement in the standard room. All those things can make the variation. Then with respect to the measurement, maybe so far we are using a particular gauge. Now that gauge has worn out, or now that gauge is not available, so we made a new gauge. Now it is creating a problem. And then last, with respect to the mother earth, maybe the variation in the temperature can result in, say for example, in a paint shop, the viscosity changes when it is hot summer or when it is very cold. So that can also lead to the change. Now what to do in this situation when all this special causes are happening? One very important thing to take care about is to make a logbook. And in that logbook, it should talk in detail with respect to the date, time, shift, person, each and everything should be documented in detail. When the man has changed, when the material has changed, whether any change in the methodology of checking, whether any change in the instrument, any minute thing that should be recorded. If we are recording all those things in the logbook, and once we are seeing the graph, then based on the logbook, we can analyze that when that change started, what could be the possible reason, and now what action needs to be taken at that particular point in time. And then based on that, we can decide what needs to be done. So if I do a summary, I talked about common cause and special cause. I talked about the 6 M's, man, machine, material, method, measurement, and mother earth. I also talk about 3 changes which can make improvement: QCD, quality, cost, and delivery. Then I talked with respect to the 8 different special causes which can result in a good process or a bad process. Then what needs to be done with respect to the 6M, and then what are the possible actions, just like the logbook. My next video will again be with respect to the SPC, where I am going to talk about another interesting topic with respect to the goalpost mentality, which generally creates more problems than benefits for the organization. Regularly, I am getting a lot of feedback from your side, and they are helping me to understand your expectations. So please do continue that. And in case you want to understand a little bit more about this particular video, you will find a link below. If you click that, you will find a blog there, and there you will find this information in much more detail. And in case you're liking these kind of blogs and videos, you can always share with your friends and colleagues, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and my website, bhavyamangla.com. Thank you.